So today we have a very special episode. We have Mr. Gerald Goad. He is the candidate for the Carroll County Circuit Clerk Court's office.
Yes.
He's the current clerk of court.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Gerald Goad, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you all?
I'm doing good.
Thank you all for your time and everything. And
absolutely. It's our honor.
Yeah.
I think I can speak for both me and Ethan when I say thank you for coming on.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of go into this episode today, it's a little bit different. We're
Mm-hmm.
focusing more on your campaign, while last time we focused more on your personal life.
Okay.
If you can give us a brief overview of the responsibilities of the clerk of court.
Okay. Well, there's actually over 800 duties and responsibilities of the clerk of the circuit court. Some we do every single day. Others we do maybe once every 2 years, 4 years. It just kind of depends. But it's an 8-year term. It's the longest elected office in the Commonwealth of Virginia. There's reasons for that. The main reason basically is that this office has so many duties and responsibilities combined into one office, whereas in other states, such as North Carolina, there's 2 separate elected offices, which is the Register of Deeds and the Clerk of Superior Court. However, in Virginia, we combine the deeds and land records, the wills and estates, and then, of course, the criminal and the civil and all the everyday court matters into one office. And so this is sort of at the conclusion of my first term. Filed to run for re-election just because of the amount of success that we've been able to have the last 8 years. We've come from sort of a lot of challenges in the first term up to having the latest technology and actually serving as a model for other courts across the Commonwealth. As you mentioned about campaign, I'll just go ahead and start. I've received numerous endorsements from other clerk of courts that have been in office for several years that have endorsed me for re-election. I feel like that carries a lot of weight. I've been very honored and blessed for those endorsements. And so I just want to continue the success that we have in this office. I'm an independent candidate. I filed as an independent just because there's simply nothing political about my job. All we do is issue services. And so I really want to keep that because I feel like it's the best interest of Carroll County, particularly in the constitutional office. And also representative of the court system.
To look back at your first term, what has been the major challenge that you've overcome in the past 8 years?
Well, there was numerous major challenges. Number one is that a lot of people were hesitant to change. I was an outsider coming into the court system. A lot of people, they were used to doing things for the same way for many, many years. And so what I did is that I networked with other seasoned clerks. I did numerous trainings through the Virginia Supreme Court and really brought a lot of new insight, new training, new understanding of things that we could do much better, and which took a lot of time with mostly everyone. I think that was a big challenge, is actually overcoming change and actually seeing what a clerk's office how it should be ran. The other challenge is, losing an employee due to COVID. In 2021, I lost my bookkeeper due to COVID, which created a lot of backlog and some issues and everything. However, it was very tough to lose one of your own due to COVID and then having to, pick up the slack and go forward. And so, and that was a big challenge as well. And number 3 is when I was elected, I was the youngest clerk in the Commonwealth of Virginia at that time that got elected. And so really there was a lot of age barriers with me coming in. Most of, if not all, the employees were much older than I am. And so, having someone younger coming in and wanting to make changes and, redo a lot of things that need to be redone for many years is a challenge. And so new vision on things, it creates a challenge on the leader, which was myself, and it's just, that I think it was a challenge itself, and then not only in the office but also other officers of the court and different things of that nature.
What have you learned about leadership over the past 8 years?
The number one thing I learned about leadership is that you can't make everybody happy. However, one thing what I have learned about leadership is I have learned a lot of things that I never thought I would be capable of actually handling, that looking back I actually was able to handle. It built a lot of confidence in myself. It built more of a better understanding about people. It built and most importantly, it made me have a better understanding about the needs and expectations of people. And that's what I think is leadership, is that if you don't understand the people that you represent and you don't understand their needs and desires and their expectations, then you're not a leader. And I think it's, even though it's taken time and I've overcome a lot of challenges, that people have finally seen that, and been very grateful for the new changes that I've had and seen the benefits of it, especially with the new technology, especially with new ways of organizing the office. So
I read in a Current News article that you were able to increase employee salaries without adding any costs.
Right.
Taxpayer costs.
Mm-hmm.
How were you able to achieve that?
Okay, well, what we did is that we have certain funds that were allocated by the Virginia Compensation Board. Mm-hmm. And so what I did is that I worked with the county administrator's office and the board of supervisors to where I cut funds out of our local budget, our county budget, and created a new line item for a part-time position. And so then I used the part-time position funds from the Virginia Compensation Board and did a salary adjustments for every employee except, of course, for myself. Mm-hmm. And so that was the way that I did that. So I didn't ask for additional funds from the county, mm-hmm. and I took the funds that were already allocated for me from the Virginia Compensation Board, mm-hmm. to readjust those salaries. Also, another thing is that I pushed the career development program. I initiated the career development program here at Carroll County Circuit Court, which folks have benefited from, and of course they have to have good performance evaluations as well as take a certain amount of credits, through trainings that's provided by Supreme Court and other matters, and then upon approval, contingent upon approval and funding from the state, they're eligible for a 9.3% raise.
Wow.
So
substantial. Is that related to the Master Clerk certificate that you?
That is correct. Okay. Yes. There's a clerk career development program, mm-hmm. and then there's a deputy clerk career development program.
I see.
Mm-hmm. Can you go further into an explanation of the Master Clerk program?
Okay, sure. So the Master Clerk program is that what I had to do is that I had to create a customer service policy. I also had to create a human resources manual. I also had to complete, I believe it was 60 course credits I had to complete. I also had to complete 2 clean audits and no repeated audits, in which I completed at that time. And there's a couple of other things that I had to do. I had to do a mission statement, and of course all my deputy employees had to perform at a certain level as well. And so for me to do that.
What is the timetable for completion of that project look like?
Well, you had to do 6 courses through the National Center for State Courts. You could do all those in a year. However, it took me probably about 2 years to do that. And of course, with me being a new clerk, I had to wait until 2 audits were done.
Right.
And so it took me probably 3, maybe 4 years, but I received mine in 2018. Mm-hmm. And that's when I received my Master Clerk certification.
So that was something that you started basically,
mm-hmm.
upon taking office?
Immediately.
Mm-hmm. I did.
Okay.
Started immediately. Yes, sir. I felt that was very important to do as far as representing the office and trying to get this started, because I wanted to get my certification so I'll be able to actually successfully guide my deputy clerks into this program as well. It wouldn't be really fair to them, or really didn't make much sense if they were getting certified and I wasn't, and vice versa.
How many of your deputy clerks have been certified?
All of my deputy clerks have been certified except one, and she didn't start until 2022. You have to have a minimum of 3 years full-time.
Okay.
And then I have a part-time employee, of course.
Right.
She's not full-time.
Right.
But everyone else is fully certified master deputy clerks.
Does that provide any benefits to the circuit court system beyond just being thorough and fully vetted?
I think it does. It creates a lot of cross-training opportunities.
Okay.
I know that 8 years ago, that was a major concern among citizens, is that the importance of cross-training among employees.
Right.
And so with the requirement of them having to do all these course credits and taking classes and trainings, they are having to take classes that may or may not be related to their division. Mm-hmm. And so that's really enhanced as far as training, professional development. And then, of course, with that, it creates a better product in terms of services and responsibilities for our office.
Of course.
We hear a lot about the 8-year term.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the 8-year term is necessary? And if so, how's it benefited you in your position?
I think it's very necessary in terms of all the duties and responsibilities that have been combined in this office.
Yep.
I have to say that it was even told to me, but when I started, is that an average clerk, brand new, it will take you 5 years to actually get sort of comfortable, and I can definitely attest to that. Yeah. The problem with it is that going back to the challenges that I just mentioned, is that I pretty much had to restructure and reconstruct the office. More so than actually having to sit and being able to learn day-to-day operations just because we were so behind. That's where the list of accomplishments come from, because we had to get our office up to the 21st century. We were so far behind on just a lot of things compared to other courts that surround us and in Virginia.
Was there any model court system that you looked at to kind of restructure
Absolutely,
your
yeah.
office?
I went to all of our neighboring courts.
Okay.
I went to Pulaski, Grayson. I even went over to Wythe County when I first began, and that was the thing. I felt like that was the best, one of the best things that anybody could do, is actually network with other courts and other clerks that have been seasoned, and to see what works there, and to see what I can bring to Carroll County.
Mm-hmm. In what ways does having that network aid you in your day-to-day operations?
We have a tremendous support system among all the clerks across this Commonwealth. Mm-hmm. I can call a clerk if I have a question or a concern or anything like that, and we able to work together. It's really quite amazing. In my previous employment, I worked for the Virginia Community College system, and there was a network of 23 community colleges.
Right.
However, that does not even compare to the network and the community or the connections that we have with clerks across the state. It's kind of like a one big family, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And we're all here to help each other do the job. And it's been that has just been very beneficial. And not only that, the Supreme Court of Virginia, or Judicial Services, I should say, has done a tremendous job of providing support. Whenever I started here at Carroll County Circuit Court, I actually conducted 3 different office assessments. And what they did is that the Virginia Judicial Services actually came in and did an office assessment and assessed every single division in the office, kind of seeing how case flow goes, how processes work, how safety, and examined it, basically everything. And they came back and wrote an actual assessment to say this is our recommendation. As clerks are elected, they can't make you or require you to do anything, as it's up to the clerk to make those decisions. However, the Judicial Services can make recommendations, in which I have highly implemented and took into high consideration all of their recommendations, such as the technology, such as maybe moving some folks around to make things easier. So I've done, I believe it was 3 of them that I did, and so it just kept getting improved every year. And so that was a really good thing that I did at the beginning of my term, is to do that and have a different lens and have some folks there that could really assess the office in which they did.
Yeah. Can you talk about the level of autonomy that a constitutional officer has versus that of a regular administrative employee?
The thing with the constitutional office and being clerk of the circuit court is that you are an administrative officer. However, with it being elected, a lot of people don't really understand the duties and responsibilities that it comes for. Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing, especially in this election, is that there's a major misunderstanding, is that this really should not even be focused on Republican, Democrat, or Independent. This is about which person can do the best job. Mm-hmm. And so, there's simply nothing in this elected position that requires of changing policy or voting on anything or having any sort of political influence at all on anything, nor should it be. Mm-hmm. That was one thing that I feel like that I had to break the glass ceiling on. When I spoke earlier about changes and stuff, this office used to be very highly, sort of considered highly political. And so when I came in, felt like it was my due diligence to take that out, in which I've demonstrated the last 8 years, and people have commended me on that. Because there's just simply there's nothing I control in terms of the Code of Virginia. That is more on General Assembly, legislature, governor, and and if you look at social issues, that's more on the federal level. And so there's really nothing that I do that is really, has anything to do with social issues or laws change or even county or code ordinances or anything. We simply just issue services and maintain the records of the courts. And so that, the answer to your question is that I feel like that's different than administrative officer, because yes, you have the administrative position and you have to oversee the daily operations. However, you've also got this elected compact that you have to agree, and you've got to explain to folks that there's nothing that I have control over in terms of political, ideologies or anything of that nature.
We have done things that most people, it would be harder for them to do, such as preserving our historical documents.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about the importance of doing that over the past 8 years?
Yes, when I started the office, our archives rooms was in desperate need of enhancement, and in the way that I saw it is that our historical documents are just as important, if not more important, than the documents that we receive each and every day. We record history, and that's something that someone told me when I first started clerk, is that clerks record history, and we really do. I mean, everything that we bring in each and every day is a court of record, and it is the clerk's role and responsibility to protect those records and maintain the integrity of those records. And so with all of that, I feel like our county definitely deserved better, and so I really worked really hard with the Library of Virginia. They have done a tremendous job. They actually came down early in my term and did a full-fledged inventory of everything they had in our archives room. So now we have a very successful inventory of all of our records down there, thanks to them. We also sent our chancery records, our historical chancery records, to the Library of Virginia so that they were able to scan them and actually feature them online, in which you can go to the Library of Virginia's website and access those. They provide grant funds from the Circuit Court Preservation Program. Actually, on each recording that we do, there's required by the Code of Virginia that we're charged, I believe it's $3.50 now, and that money goes toward the preservation of historical records across the state. It's a grant funds program. It's called CCRP program, in which we, every year I really strive to apply for that, and I'm very proud that, over 8 years I've been able to secure over $130,000 of grant funds towards document preservation.
In what ways have you used technology to facilitate this process?
Okay, good question. One way I facilitate technology is that, of course, we changed land record vendors the first of my term, to where we have the Springport, Virginia land record system called RMS. And this one was more enhanced because it features marriage licenses. And so we were able to actually backscan and digitize all of our marriage licenses back to 1842. And with that, it also enhances our secure remote access to where folks can sign up for that and access all of our deeds, wills, land records, as well as the marriage licenses completely online without having to come here. We also have our land plats, surveys, and then also our highway plats, also backscan. And so the answer to your question is that we have a digital copy of everything, to where if this building ever was to catch fire or something was lost and everything, we have a digital backup. And so I think, in answer to your question, is that we have to have digital backups and everything, and I think that's one way to protect the integrity of the information on the documents.
When we talked to you last spring, you were in the process of digitizing those records.
Mm-hmm.
How has that progressed over the summer and into the fall?
It's progressed really well. We had a formal ribbon cutting of our fully renovated archives room back in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, we've got volunteers coming in weekly. That's taking each box at a time and scanning them. And so it's gone extremely well. We also have had, we actually here recently, we have folks from the Mount Rogers IDC Day Services Program that are actually coming in on Wednesdays and unfolding a lot of documents. We have, of course, we have high school interns and some college interns. We haven't had any in a while, but they've come in before and assisted with that. So we're very gracious for our committed volunteers that have come forth and have done a tremendous job. These folks are also very active in the Historical Society and the Genealogy Club, and so we just really appreciate this strong partnership with these agencies, because history is important. It's protecting our history, and is extremely important, because it also protects our heritage, our understanding about Carroll County, our way of life. And then, of course, on a legal standpoint, a lot of things can be decided upon the historical records. That may be the only information that someone may have to determine the outcome of a case. So folks don't understand, the importance of the integrity of keeping and protecting records, and that's what this job is a lot about. I mean, of course, a lot of it's about services and different things like that, but protecting the integrity of documents, in particular our historical documents, is very, very essential.
Would you consider the clerk's office to be very involved within the community?
Yes. I did my best to enhance that. Just like tomorrow, I'm holding a will and estates little workshop seminar at a local church.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that what we've tried to do in the past is that we've set up at school events and different things to show folks the importance of protecting our history. I know folks, especially at the school, that's the first time you've seen like cursive writing, and so people's been very fascinated with a lot of our historical documents. But in answering your question, I'm with going into hopefully a second term, is that I want to enhance a lot of the informational seminars, especially on wills and estates, so that folks can have a better understanding of the process. It's hard enough to lose a loved one and then having to gather a lot of sensitive information, or some information that you thought you might have or didn't have, and this, that, and the other. So we want to make sure people are fully prepared and actually spend some time thinking about some of that stuff, because it is a sensitive topic.
Of course.
Another thing too is, I've attended ministerial association meetings that talk about the importance of marriage commissioning, making sure that pastors get formal commission to perform marriages in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I stay active with the Chamber of Commerce, and making sure that we have a strong relationship with our local businesses. A lot of businesses here in Carroll County rely heavily on the service of our office, and it's not just attorneys; it's also the surveyors, it's also realtors. It's a lot of people there's a lot of variables here as far as a lot of folks determining the services of our office. It's not just members of the court system. We do so many types of variety of services that it's important to really stay out in the community, stay very visible, and make sure that the door is always open. And of course establish public trust.
Coming into your hopeful next term, what are some of your biggest goals?
In my next term, my biggest goal is to actually have more than one person on the Wills and Estates Division. We have a lot of people. They come to the front window, and it's only for Wills and Estates. They come to the front window, and someone's passed away. Well, do you have this or do you have that? And they're like, no, I don't have this and don't have that. And so we want to make sure that, there's probably more than one person that's going to be able to do appointments, that's going to be able to talk to these folks and have a better understanding. As also, answering the phones and those things, just in the Wills and Estates Division, just because the volume of folks that are passing away, we have an aging county, and so we want to make sure that these folks are taken care of efficiently and properly. They are right now. However, there is, I feel like there's a room for improvement there,
Of course, yeah.
and that's one thing I want to work on in the next term. And so, and other than that, of course, the continuous document preservation. You always will continue to work on that, and so we may look at some other things, but that's the two most important right now that I can think of.
What would you say the current percentage is for the documents being archived?
The current percentage as far as what is being
Archived thus far, in terms of how much do you have left?
oh, how much I have left.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Well, we have our criminal and civil files. We started scanning in 2016. So every one of those have been scanned and digitized since 2016. Okay, so as far as the Chancery, we have everything scanned and digitized thanks to the Library of Virginia from 1842 up to 1912, 1913. Okay, as far as the archive room, there have been several, and I'd have to go through and see exactly how much has been, but I would suspect that probably 15% of the entire archive room has been scanned and digitized, at least. So that's a start.
Yeah.
And of course, we have all of our deeds and land records scanned and digitized, as well as highway plats and other plats, and then of course the mayor's licenses. And so we have all that. So basically most of everything except the court orders in the entire deed room is scanned and digitized. So all the books in there are completely digitized.
So as new deeds and marriage licenses and chanceries are coming in, those are being digitized currently?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah. So we scan all of our deeds right at the front counter.
Okay.
All of the mayor's licenses, once someone applies for a mayor's license, gets issued one, that gets scanned immediately. Okay. And so that's been done since day one.
Okay, I see.
So.
Okay.
Me and Ethan were discussing the marriage licenses process. Is a couple officially married when they turn in their form or during their ceremony? Because I'm sure they turn in the form before the ceremony.
On the marriage license process is that the marriage officiant, he or she has the responsibility required by law to actually turn in that marriage license themselves. They do not give it to the party. So once the ceremony is conducted, then he or she will sign off on that, and then it has to be turned back in our office within 5 business days. Okay. And so that's required by state law. Now, as far as a couple wanting to get married, they will come in and actually, quote unquote, apply. And we have a new marriage license kiosk where it's an actual computer that they actually type in their information, and it automatically prints off their marriage license. But when I first started here, everybody had to fill out everything in pencil and paper, and I thought we could do better. And so the Judicial Services offered this, and actually was free of charge, and so I had a marriage license kiosk. And started that here in the office.
Have you ever had those licenses been misplaced by the officiant?
Yes, we've had some issues with that before. We've had to call the officiant, or the officiant calls us, and it doesn't happen often. It happens every once in a while. Yeah.
And what is that vetting process, the accreditation process, like for a priest or a preacher who wants to be licensed to officiate weddings?
Is it an online class or a test they have to take?
Okay,
through the clerk's office?
The Code of Virginia, it's section 20-23, states that basically, in order to perform full-time marriages in Virginia, you have to have a local pastor's license, or you have to be ordained as a minister, and you're in your denomination, and also have a letter that you're in good standing with the church or denomination in which you're representing. Okay, so now there is a section 20-25 of the code that states that anyone can actually perform a one-time marriage. However, the judge has to appoint you on that. Okay. So you don't have to be a minister for that. However, the judge would grant you a one-time marriage. So, for example, if your friends were getting married, or someone that asked you to perform a wedding ceremony, you can actually do that without a marriage license, or without a pastor's license. Okay, but as far as full-time marriages, you have to be ordained. You have to have a proof of your ordination. proof that you hold a local pastor's license, proof that you are in good standing with the religious society in which you are which you are part of.
Okay.
And again, all that states clearly in Code of Virginia 2023.
Okay.
Can the judge perform a marriage for the couple?
Yes, the judge can perform a marriage with a couple. That I'm not sure as far as the criteria on that. I can actually perform a wedding myself. However, I chose not to. Clerks can actually they can serve as what's called civil celebrants, which is not tied to any sort of religious denomination. You can actually perform that ceremony as a civil rather than religious. And but I choose not to. It's just I'm so busy and everything. Some clerks actually do officiate weddings, but that's just something that I choose not to do.
And both judges can officiate weddings, general district and circuit court, right?
Not sure about general district, but I do know circuit court judges can. Yes.
Okay. So one main question is, what has been the biggest difference that you've noticed between your first campaign and your second campaign?
The political climate this go around is much different than the last go around, and it's really unfortunate because whereas I'm running independent, I'm proving myself as an independent candidate. There's a lot of sort of there's a political climate out there that wants to bring party politics back into the office. And some of the things that you may have seen and heard, you really have nothing that's in relation to the office. And so, I think the climate with this is much different than it was 8 years ago. I think 8 years ago, it was more focused on the actual person who could do the best job, who could, and who was the most well known in the community, who had the most skill set. And whereas this campaign, to answer your question, just to be transparent with you, is that I feel like there's a political climate out there that just is all focused on Republican, Democrat, and stuff that really has no relation to this office. And so that's the biggest difference between this campaign and the last campaign. I feel like that this campaign, I've demonstrated myself. I have a proven record. I have accomplished a lot of things, looking back in my term that I'm very proud of. I ran a very efficient, ethical office. There's nothing that, I've been able to sleep every day, every night, in the last 8 years. Not, in terms of feeling like I've done my best. Right. Now, of course, there's some nights that, of course, with stress and worry and things of that nature, of course, but as a figure of speech, so to speak, looking back, there's not a single thing that I know in my heart that I've done that is not ethical or not fair or anything like that. And so I'm very proud of that.
Yes, sir. As we're wrapping up, have we missed anything that you wanted to mention?
I just wanted to take this time, and I want to thank the citizens of Carroll County and the citizens of the city of Galax for allowing me to serve as your clerk of court for the last 8 years. A lot of people have, just to be honest with you, including myself, 8 years ago, a lot of people, I was only 30 years old. A lot of people had maybe some doubts about my capabilities of doing this job. However, there was a lot in the support in the community at that time that encouraged me to run. And, I had a great job at Whitfield Community College. I had a great career there. However, it was a higher calling, I felt like. And I knew that that Carroll County deserved better. I know that Carroll County, we had a lot of potential here. It wasn't really focusing on the negative. It was more focused on the opportunity. Because that's how I am, is that I feel I'm more of an opportunist. I don't like to point fingers or place blame and everything. I look at the opportunities to fix things. And, not just the clerk's office, but also Carroll County as a whole, we have so many great opportunities. I mean, we have, we're very blessed with a lot of infrastructure here that I feel like we haven't tapped into. I feel like we have a great culture and a great heritage. We have some enormous tourism events here that really attracts a lot of people. And we just got to really enhance all that and really market that. And I feel like that we can really do a lot of great things in our future if we would just see more in terms of an opportunist type approach and a positive attitude. Yeah. Is what I feel like. But to answer your question is that going back to it is that I'm just very blessed that I've been able to accomplish what I promised the citizens that I would do, and then some. I really appreciate the opportunity that the citizens gave me to enhance this office and to bring this office up to the 21st century and actually bring the clerk's office up to an actual model for other courts and for other clerks to actually come in and witness and observe. I really am grateful for the opportunity to help other neighboring courts with their issues, that I got through in the challenges and different things, and actually me serving as a mentor now for other clerks as other clerks were a mentor to me. And it's just, I'm just at the bottom of my heart, I'm just very, very thankful that I have had the opportunity to serve and to serve so many people and to initiate so many things to help the court system here in Carroll County. And of course, there's always things to do, and I just hope that and pray that I can be reelected to continue the success. I love working with everyone. I've always felt that I'm always one to help others. I'm a very nice, humble person. Take a lot of things to heart. I care about helping others, and it's just a great place to be able to help other people in a variety of things, whether it's a wills or estates, or helping them with any sort of record matter after the fact, anything that comes out of a court case, helping with concealed income permits, helping with their marriage licenses. There's a lot of things that people come to the clerk's office for that is a big moment in their life, whether it's they're buying their first home or getting married for the first time, or actually going out of the country for the first time, as far as us doing passports. Turn 21, obtain a concealed income permit. That's an exciting thing. It's a very important thing to a lot of folks in our county as far as Second Amendment and obtaining a concealed income permit. So it's those things that is really rewarding for me, I feel like, to be part of that process and to help folks better their life, or help them with their the best that I can with some very serious matters in their life, because we handle a lot of serious services here that can't be taken lightly.
Well, sir, it's been an honor to speak with you today.
Yes.
And we wish you the best of luck in the upcoming election.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you.
You.